10 million lifetime players, $100 million in revenue, average sessions just shy of an hour. Those are the developers' own published numbers for a free game about gorillas playing tag, and they beat plenty of titles that cost $50 and shipped with an ad campaign. So how did gorilla tag become so popular? That's the question this whole video answers, and the answer isn't luck, and it's not graphics. The game looks like a papercraft diorama, and its players couldn't care less. It's 3 deliberate decisions, made mostly by one programmer, that big studios keep refusing to copy because they look wrong on a pitch deck. By the end, you'll also see the dark mirror of this story, a rival social platform that raised almost $300 million, served over 150 million players, and still shut its doors this June while the gorilla game kept running. Stay for that part, because that comparison is the entire lesson. Start the clock in February 2021. A developer named Keristel Smith, lemming to the community, put a free tag game into Steam Early Access on February 12th, then onto Meta's experimental app lab shelf about a month later. No publisher, no trailer campaign. The gorilla thing wasn't branding strategy. Arms-only movement simply made more sense if your body was built like an ape. For nearly 2 years, the game wasn't even on the main Quest store. It didn't officially land there until December 15th, 2022, and by then, it was already the thing every kid with a Quest 2 forced their friends to install. Read that timeline again, because it breaks the usual rules. The growth happened through side doors from a solo project with 0 store placement. By the time Meta's storefront put it on the shelf needed Gorilla Tag more than Gorilla Tag needed the shelf. That solo project became the studio another axiom, and the origin still shapes everything they ship. Here's what everyone gets wrong about the arm swinging. People see clips and file it under kid stuff, flailing, screaming, cartoon monkeys, then they try it. There's no joystick and no teleport button. Your hands push the world past you, which means your speed, your turns, and your escapes all come from technique. Wall bounces, momentum saves, branch roots. The ceiling on movement skill is genuinely high, closer to a skating game than a playground. That's the trick, hiding under the silly skin. The input is the game. Most VR locomotion tries to make you forget you have a body so you don't get motion sick. Gorilla Tag went the other way and made your body the entire toy. And because your brain is doing real physical coordination, instead of watching a screen scroll past, it doesn't just feel immersive, it feels athletic. The developer's own stats put average sessions near an hour, and that's not screen time in the usual sense. Your shoulders bill you for it the next morning. The money model shouldn't have worked. Free game, no ads, no season pass drumbeat. The entire revenue engine is cosmetic items, hats and holdables sold to players who are, remember, faceless grey gorillas. That plain avatar was a design decision with 2 edges. Nothing to customize meant nothing to sell at launch, but it also stripped out the status anxiety that makes other online spaces exhausting. No face, no outfit, nothing to be judged in. Once purchasable cosmetics arrived on top of that neutral base, they stopped being pressure and became pure decoration. And the community has spent past $100 million on them. Notice what's absent. No paywall in front of the fun, no energy meters, no loot boxes aimed at a young player base. You can play forever for nothing, and enough people voluntarily buy a hat to fund a studio. That restraint wasn't charity. It's what kept the invite loop frictionless, because every friend you drag in gets the full game tonight. Now the dark mirror. Rec Room chased the same social VR crown with everything Gorilla Tag didn't have. $294 million raised, a peak valuation of $3.5 billion, over 150 million lifetime players across phones, consoles, and headsets. It shut down on June 1st this year. The company said it plainly. Costs always ended up overwhelming revenue, and its cut of user-generated content sales was thin, around 30 cents on the dollar after platforms and creators took their share. Meanwhile, the Gorilla Games cost structure is almost embarrassing. Simple art any chipset can run, small rooms instead of sprawling servers, high-margin cosmetics, a comparatively tiny team. Popularity didn't decide who survived. Arithmetic did. There's a genuinely uncomfortable lesson in that pairing. 150 million users lost their platform, while the 10 million player Gorilla game is still running like nothing happened. Scale isn't a business model. Being cheap to run while people love you is. If it were a fluke, nobody could repeat it. They repeated it. Animal Company, free, physical movement, proximity voice chat, cosmetics, hit 1 million monthly and 500,000 daily players by last July, and, on some weekly charts, out-earned Gorilla Tag itself on Meta's own store. Yeeps ran the same play with Pillow Forts and Building. A game called UG did it fast enough that Trade Press ranked it among Quest's top earners within 6 months of launch. That's a formula compounding across a storefront, not a lightning strike. Free entry, a body-first mechanic your grandmother understands in 10 seconds, and monetization that never blocks a friend from joining. Even another Axiom is running the play again. Its second game, Orion Drift, takes the same swing-your-arms DNA into zero gravity. The studios still opening with cinematic trailers and thumbstick locomotion aren't wrong about craft. They're wrong about what VR is for. It's a place your body goes with other people, and the market keeps paying whoever remembers that. So the answer to how Gorilla Tag became so popular fits on an index card. Launch free so friends can say yes instantly, build one physical mechanic deep enough to master, keep the avatar judgment-proof, sell only decoration, and stay cheap enough to outlive the giants. Every part of that's copyable, which is exactly why your Quest store now looks the way it does. Here's the practical takeaway for you, not for developers. Some of the best hours on this platform still cost nothing, and after Rec Rooms shut down this June, the free shelf genuinely changed. Some of what old lists recommend no longer exists. I keep this channel's picks current. When a game dies or a price moves, the advice moves with it. And subscribing is what keeps that rechecked version reaching you instead of a stale list from 2024. The very next video is exactly that updated shelf. 7 free Quest 3 games that are actually good in 2026, including the one I'd install before